it go. Okay. Now, I'm looking for Kris down there in my comment section, and we are looking for a Brenda. Okay, yeah, we caught you, didn't we? Okay, first of all, happy, happy, understanding, underlying, I think that she's the emotional one. She says you still have quite a few of her things since she has ended up passing. She gives me a sign symbol like you have an item of her clothing, or sometimes I even see like somebody that even still smells of her, or sometimes we maybe you even still wear, or have her pillow unwashed, or we're wearing something to bed, or we just keep it close to the heart, especially something that we wear literally in honor of her memory. We still have quite a few of her things. She doesn't necessarily tell me how she ends up passing yet. She just keeps on going. She tells me that, like, she goes, don't worry about them. And I'm like, I can only assume that maybe something that happens after she passes, or maybe some sort of he said, she said something, like, I don't know, like, or maybe someone you have to deal with after this person ends up passing. Like, I don't really worry about them. I get shorter hair. Okay, and then I'm asking how we end up passing. Let me know if this resonates with you. I don't have any of her belongings, but I do have a stuffed animals with her cologne on it. I'm like, it might be a used pillow. I'm like, we put it on when we sleep. I can smell this person. She's like, oh, I don't have any belongings, but I do have a teddy bear with her cologne on it. I love this. And then we're taking a nice big deep breath. I'm like, we snuggle with it. We sleep with it. It is them. That is wild that you... Okay. Hold on. Okay, question, because she talked about your belongings. I forget that you guys can't necessarily see what I'm drawing, but she talked about the belongings, and then she had drawn the arrow and said, nah, don't worry about them. So could this be something you had to deal with, like and you said you don't have any belongings, so could this been a push? You'll have to excuse me, I'm in a different dimension, but could this be almost like a push-pull of people not allowing you to have things? Like, why would we... I question that, because she even gives me a sign symbol of you having ashes, she shows me a rose, but this is most likely a significant other for you. But she shows me it in such detail, and it's almost a beautiful dried preserved rose. Like, see these two? She shows me a red one, and this is like, maybe you have something in honor for memory, maybe from the celebration of life. But then she gives me that sign symbol, like, don't worry about that. The friend she's living with isn't giving me anything of hers, and she's ignoring me completely. Has this person been gone under a year? All I hear is accusations. Whew. December 2, 2024. That makes perfect sense, Kris, because when we had talked yesterday, I'm like, we have got 1,000 people coming through for you. What on earth? This person's been gone under a year. So not only when people are gone under a year, you'll hear me say it 1,000,000 times. It's just a fact. When it comes to my mediumship, people are gone under a year. Sometimes it can be a little in and out. And with that being said, they can have other people validate themselves before they can come in too. So that begins to make perfect sense. It always does. Hold on, I gotta fix my camera. So I have too much ADHD to like let my forehead just be lopped off. There we go. Okay, great. So, I think that it's a self-built perspective of you on why blah, 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 you can't have this or that. Okay, first of all, I love the teddy bear with her name on it, or with her cologne on it. Second of all, I think that you can collect other things in honor of her memory, even if you don't have anything, or maybe you still do have something for from the celebration of life. What signs is she sending? She's talking about your ability to manifest. You want want something, it may come to you in a totally different fashion. Like, let's say you really want money, and you ask for money, and you manifest money, right? And then it manifests as your boss offering you extra shifts. Not what I meant. Not what I meant. Okay? And so I feel like you have the ability to manifest synchronicity. She goes, she's always sad, but she never realizes she's talking right to me. We always have those inner conversations together. What would she say if she's still here? And me and her will sit there and have a conversation, and she'll even feel emotional about it. Kato, you got to remember what I just told you, she says to me. She goes, sorry, I have an itch right here. She goes, you have to remember what I just told you. I'm the underlying emotional one. When you're having emotional conversations with me, you wouldn't be crying if you didn't feel it so deeply. So you still have real-time conversations with her in your head. It's not even necessarily like, I mean, if you look hard enough, you'll see 1111, but if you just pay attention, she's right there having conversations with you. You're hearing her laugh. Every time I've ever channeled this Brenda, she is laughing. Also, we haven't even talked about how she ends up passing. She was very emotional, but I am too, and I think you guys are just connecting on a really deep level. I think it was quite the loss, and hold on, I'm going to keep, hold on a second. Hold on. I asked her how she ended up passing, and because first of all I was trying to like see why you didn't get a chance to say goodbye, and like why you guys had been separated right beforehand, and why her roommate's taking over and all the bullshit. But at the end of the day, we don't need your drama on the internet. That's what private readings are for, so hit me up. But what I will say is that I asked her how she ends up passing, and she gives me a sign symbol like it was overall a medical thing, and she kind of sassy. She goes, oh, it just came up and got me just real quick. And then I feel like it just kind of like puts pressure on my upper chest, makes it hard to breathe. So she gives me a sign symbol like comes over me all at once. Yeah, it just happened real quick. And then maybe something medical. Could be underlying, but not something you'd think would off you, or something you would take serious, like high blood pressure, have a heart attack. You know what I'm saying? Wasn't a medical thing. What'd she end up passing? She was a beautiful soul, a light when she walked in a room, kept everyone laughing. Head-on collision with a box truck. Oh my gosh. And honestly, I can feel how like how in a way, just to be honest and very transparent, you can feel like you don't want the validation of the communication with her potentially to necessarily be true, because we don't want to let go of the fact that maybe we didn't get to say goodbye. Listen, maybe I do want to circle in on she keeps saying, nah, don't worry about them. You didn't get a chance to say goodbye. And then nobody is blaming you. I don't think she's blaming you. I think, like, let's say you guys were arguing. I'm not saying you guys were arguing, but I definitely could have seen a reconnection in the future, even if you had given it time, because I think that you guys are actually soulmates with each other. I think she keeps telling me she had a lot of life lessons to learn with that. Okay, now, so when she talks about how she ends up passing, oh, it happened real quick, and then it comes over her all of a sudden. I almost thought it was something underlying, but what she says, it was actually her driving, going about her day only a few months ago, about 5 months ago now, going about her day, and then had a head-on collision with a box truck. Man, that is wild. Well, I think that it makes a good point. Was it her fault? Hold on. That was right. You didn't speak for 4 days before she ended up passing. That's right, because that's the same, like, because yesterday when I talked to her a little bit, I saw that sunshine, going about our business, of blissfulness, because when I saw it yesterday, it was down a back road. And she kept telling you yesterday it had nothing to do with your guys' argument. And then today when we come back in with her, she talks about how I think that it was something a little more, even though it was serious, I think that it required a little time apart, and then you'd be like rekindling things. I don't think we had any intention. She says that the break was good and necessary in order for anything to work. So I'm going to just say that it wasn't as if she was so emotionally distraught in that moment. I feel like it's blissful. You finally are having that emotional turnaround when you spend some time away and you're going to work through things. And then they tell me that it was not, it was like, it wasn't even her being a bad driver, it was that person being a bad driver. So it seems like you're caught in not her reality of like, you know, I deserve by any means. It was her being caught in somebody else was speeding. Oh, they've been speeding before, they got away with it before. It was someone else's karma, essentially. We would have just been fine a week later or so. No, I totally, does she still love me? Yes. I don't think it was her fault. Like, granted, if she wasn't so in her own head, but I'm glad she was in a blissful place. I think that when it's determined that your soul's going to cross over, there's a timeline that starts to tick down. Yes. So, yeah. Does she still love me? Yes, she said you would have rekindled it. And she goes, we would have been just fine a week or so later, but I'm blocked on her socials and phone number. And that is really hard because what she talks about when she gets on is how she was at that emotional turnaround point that separations are so good and vital for. She said it was vital. It would have turned around. It was all about that timing. Oh, that is wild.